So let me first thank Madame le Maire and the 𝘬𝘗𝗏𝘠𝗏 for inviting 𝗔_Platform to this conference. We are delighted to be part of it, and we hope we can contribute with our interventions and give you in France and maybe even beyond some ideas. 𝗔_Platform, as you kindly mentioned, is a European network, and we aim to voice and promote the interests of the 190 million citizens aged 50 plus living in the EU, and to raise awareness of the issues that they concern most, including employment. We are all aware of the changes in the population structure that have been taking place in virtually all industrialized nations for some years now. Due to low birth rates and to increasing longevity, the former age pyramid of the population, with its stable foundation of young people and a narrow top of old people, is turning into a tree with inverted proportions. These changes are also having an impact on the labor market. Every year, significantly less younger people enter the workforce than older employees retire and leave. Older people are therefore urgently needed to ensure productivity. And yet, today, 2/5 of older persons aged 55 to 64 do not work in the European Union, and it is even 3/5 of older women in some countries. We know the average figures cover a bit the big differences also between European countries. How can we explain these figures? A first explanation is the so-called ageism. Negative attitudes towards older people and age discrimination are the major barriers to any change for the aging workforce. Once you reach a certain age, and this morning we heard about this magic threshold of 55, if you have reached a certain age, you are no longer seen as productive, but rather too old to support leaders with outdated concepts and not equipped to deal with today's world complexity. At the same time, not enough adequate opportunities for lifelong learning and training are offered to older workers and employees to maintain their employability. However, biological age and social age are two different things. To believe that everybody ages the same is a general assumption that does not justice to reality. Wasn't it the French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu who said that classifications by age always come down to imposing limits and producing an order in which everyone has to fit in? Another explanation to the low employment rate among older people can also be found in the lack of support of older workers in the labor market. The rate of long-term unemployment, which is about 12 months or more, is much higher for older workers than for other age groups, which means that a large majority of them are more likely to become inactive than to find a new job after the age of 50. And finally, a third explanation for the low participation of older persons lies in the lack of adaptation of workplaces and working conditions to groups of all ages. Work has an impact on people throughout their lives, to varying degrees. Some particularly demanding jobs have a significant impact on workers' physical and mental health. And solutions must be found to support these workers in the middle of their career, not just in older age. The legacy of cumulative discriminations across the life course also creates group-specific challenges. For instance, as we heard already this morning, the fact that women spend more time on caring during their careers than men, also in old age, means that their challenges in remaining or finding an employment are even greater and create a gender gap in employment rates. And this is also one of the main reasons for the resulting gender pension gap and the poverty of older women. So, what can be done to retain and develop the older workforce within companies or organizations? And how can companies, older workers, and their families equally benefit from such measures? This is a question we asked our age members in a barometer dedicated to employment. This barometer, published last November, in this barometer we took stock of the situation of older workers in 19 European countries and collected a number of good practices which we hope provide inspiration at both national and European levels for a labor market that enables sustainable and quality working lives that satisfy all those involved. One of the first responses given in the barometer is the need to recognize the experience, the value, and the full potential of older people in the workplace. This can be done with the support of charters, such as the one set up by 𝗪𝗪𝘗𝘁, or through the implementation of age equality strategies at national, sectoral, and/or company levels. In Germany, for instance, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs set up a demography network association which gives space for cross-companies exchanges of good practices to develop sustainable and successful employment strategies in companies. We also believe that a proper recognition of the potential of older people must be based on a person-centered and intersectional approach. A person-centered approach allows a better management of the workforce in identifying its assets. It enables to respond adequately to the needs of employees and allows employment agencies to adequately support older job seekers, connecting them to supporting entities that provide tailor-made training and guidance. Such model has been developed in Italy, for instance, thanks to the Guarantee of Employability of Workers program with the support of the European Union. The Swedish model is inspiring with regards to intersectional discriminations faced by older women, because several measures provide special support to women throughout their lives to guarantee their right to work, care work for those concerned, their autonomy and work-life balance. This is reflected in the position of older women in the labor market in Sweden, remaining the best performing country in the EU with an employment rate for women of 78%. And finally, workplaces need to be designed conceived and accessible for all ages. This implies more research on health inequalities in the workforce to identify whether stronger occupational safety and health policies are needed, and what kind of flexible working arrangements can be planned in aging at work strategies. Again, with specific support for work-life balance for informal carers. In this context, we can also refer to the EU Work-Life Balance Directive, which introduces a set of legislative actions with, among others, the aim of better supporting a work-life balance of parents, but also for carers. OSH should also be considered in the light of current and future digital changes, including more digital literacy opportunities and improving the availability, affordability, and accessibility of new technologies. In this respect, age is a partner of the next campaign of the EU Agency for Safety and Health at Work on safe and healthy work in the digital age. The campaign aims to ensure a people-centered approach to managing digital technologies in the workplace and to define recommendations for member states, sectors, and companies. I invite you to read our barometer. Again, I can show it to you. We have a few copies of it if you are interested. I invite you to read our barometer, where you will find many more inspiring initiatives and concrete recommendations to support sustainable and quality working lives. Stop, this was too much. Now, to conclude, to achieve the goal of retaining older employees in the labor force or attracting new ones, many different measures must, and as we have seen, can be taken in various respects. This requires a strong commitment from employers and companies, and cooperation with older people themselves or their representatives. As Age Platform, we are happy to contribute to this endeavor to the best of our ability. And with this, I thank you very much for your interest.